Hi everyone, I have decided to start a new page in Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford, and I have picked a page quite near the front. This page here with all these little items, I thought we could do one per video, and because it has this sort of pumpkin I thought was quite good for this time of the year, which is why I picked this page. It's quite near the front of the book, so I'm just going to grab World of Flowers and just put it under there so that I've got something to lean on when I'm colouring, because it's quite difficult, I find, colouring the early or late pages in a book. I'm going to try and fold out that, and we're going to come in a bit closer. I'm using Polychromos pencils today. If you don't have them, just trying to move my book, sorry. If you don't have them, then I have links in the video description to my conversion charts, so that you can comparison charts, sorry, so you can use the different pencil sets and still get similar colours if that's something that you would like to do. Right, pumpkin, I've coloured loads of these lately, funnily enough. We're going to start with a sort of mid orange. So this is a cadmium orange, and I'm going to do a light layer over the whole pumpkin, not the windows and things, and do keep it light because we're going to be adding more layers of colour, and you want to make sure you've got enough tooth left in the paper to be able to add extra layers. So I know it's not always easy to do a light application of colour, but you can do it. Just it takes a bit more concentration, I find, sometimes, to just make sure you're not pushing down too hard. Now this video series will get broken up a little bit because there will be planner pages and all sorts of other things getting in the way. I had thought about doing it in the mornings, but we've got other things going on then. So here's the orange glaze, it's slightly darker orange. We're going to mark out some of the areas that I want to look a little bit darker. So where these lines are, here on this side of the line, I want it to be a little bit darker. I'm just putting a stripe in here at the moment, just so I can have a think about what I'm doing. Yes, so now I'm going to go back and just scumble it out a little bit so it doesn't look too harsh. Yeah, I've got a bit of a mix of videos going out, so this might jump from mornings to afternoons and all sorts of things. This series, it might be a bit disjointed, but I think that should be on the outside there, but I think you'll find them. My members will get a compilation video of this series, so it'll be a bit easier for them to find them. I'll try and label it. I can't remember what I called these items in my colouring book index sheet, but we'll see. Right, now I want to go really dark on these lines because I want to make the pumpkin actually look like it's got a bit of shape. So we're going to grab a burnt sienna, so we're going dark and shadowy, and I'm going to sharpen it. It's actually quite sharp, and then really get into this groove here. Now you don't want to extend this dark colour out too much. You want it to look like a really sort of intense shadow just in there and here. Like that. But we can also put a little bit of extra shadow underneath this plant bit. I am making sense today. There we go. And I'm also thinking around the edge, because having a bit of a darker shadow here helps us to start thinking that this is a spherical, well, near enough to spherical. It's not really, but you know what I mean. It's not flat on the page. Interestingly, someone told me that they felt that Johanna's pictures were a bit flat. It was quite an interesting observation. I think that that occasionally I come across something that's drawn, I find it really hard to make it look three-dimensional. It's not just in Johanna's books, but I find that you can normally work with it. This is terracotta. I'm going to extend these dark areas a little bit now, but I think it's all part of the challenge to sort of try and work with it and make it look three-dimensional. And occasionally I find that really hard, but often it's just adds to the fun. But yeah, I'm not expecting everybody to like Johanna's new book and to like her, you know, because some people are saying, you know, I'm not very keen. It's fine. Goodness, we're all different, aren't we? So it's just a matter of personal taste. Now we're going to go back now to the orange glaze, and we're going to work on just extending round these little sections of pumpkin, coming quite near the edges of each little bit. Now I can't decide, I'm going to put a little bit here and here too. I can't decide whether to put shadow under the windows or whether it might just confuse me. I'll have a think about that in a minute when we do that bit. I'm going to go under there, look. I think also some people like to do a really realistic looking picture, whereas I'm not that fussed about making something look realistic as much as just fun and cute, you know. So, and have a sort of just a nod to a bit of realism. This is dark chrome yellow rather than trying to, you know, realism is hard. So let's just I'm just filling in all these white gaps. Let's just enjoy what we've got. And if it isn't so realistic, then you've got a bit more artistic license to make it look a bit weird and wonderful, a bit different, a bit more fun, or just simply not worry about it if it doesn't quite look right. Now, window frame, door frame. I'm thinking maybe I could go with the terracotta. I'm going to use the terracotta and use it quite dark and see what it looks like, because I'm quite liking the idea of sticking with the orangey colour, but it might be a bit too samey, so I'm just going to do it, and with a sort of medium pressure. So this could be my only colour, or I'd actually, looking at it, I'm going to add something else to it, of course. There we go. So windows and doors. I'm going to get this burnt sienna now. I'm going to do a little fussy bit now, and I'm going to go around the edge of it just a little bit to give it a darker edge, make it look a little bit more rounded. And you might think, I can't tell any different, or I'm not doing that, it's too fussy, and I wouldn't blame you one bit. Now, because I'm using this, which I was using for my shadows on my pumpkin, because I'm using this on door frame, I want to do a shadow under the window and around the door frame. I have to use a slightly darker colour, or else it will just look the same as this. So we'll grab something else. Oops, I could just go out the lines. Don't worry about it, because I'm going to go over it in a minute in a darker brown anyway. So what should we use? I think we'll use the walnut brown. And I'm going to go under here with a bit of shadow. they're also going to go around just a little bit. I'm not breathing. I'm concentrating. Hard to talk around our door frame. Like that. Oops. And then a bit more under here I want to do, emphasize this bit. Like that. And I'm also just going to put a bit in here because it's not quite dark enough for me. I think part of the problem is that it's got too many layers of other colours on top of it now. There we go. Now, door, windows. Let's do some light coming through the window. Now, I was going to do a more of a orangey yellow, but I think because our pumpkin's orange, if we go for a yellowy yellow, I'm making so much sense today. This is the light chrome yellow. It's really hard to see. There you go. It will look different to the actual pumpkin, but we want it to be nice and bright and inviting. We've also got light coming down out of here, so it's indicating that it's dark. So I'm going to put a bit of light here. There we go. Now I'm wondering what colour to do our door, and I'm wondering whether to do it a green that matches the stem. Right, stem. Let's do the stem first. I'm going to use the earth green yellowish because I like it and I think it'll work. And like I did for my pumpkin, words, I'm going to do a layer first. Again, be careful with the amount of pressure you put down. We want some more colours on top of here. So you can see actually Johanna has drawn some lines to help us a little bit as to where to put more or less colour down. So we'll see. Oh, I need to wish you all happy Halloween, by the way. I don't think it's quite Halloween yet, but it's coming, and it might be by the time you're watching this anyway. Depending on what part of the world you're in, of course. I don't know if you celebrate or not, but I hope you have a good time regardless. I'm looking forward to closing the house up and hiding. This is permanent green olive. I'm going to use it to put in some darker areas. Now around here, look, Johanna's drawn for us some little lines so we can see that she wants us to make it darker there. And I think that the tip of each of these is going to be sort of curling down over our pumpkin, so be a little bit lower down. So I'm thinking a bit shadowy, like that, and then sort of scumble it up a little bit to fade it up, like that, and then the same here, fade that out. We've got a sort of gap. We'll fill that in later. We'll work our way up here. You see Johanna's drawn us a little shadowy bit there, but I want to put a bit on that side too. Now she's put some lines on the top of this, whereas I would be inclined with the shadow underneath, like that, and a bit under there and there, sort of on the lower parts of the vine and the higher bits of there, like that. We'll do the leaves in a minute. We'll finish off the stem part first, or else it'll get a bit bitty and detached. So here is the May green, which I'm going to use to fill in all our areas. So I'm just going to colour over everything with this, and it will intensify the colour, and it's a more yellowy colour, so it gives it a bit more vibrancy. and if it isn't vibrant enough, you can always put a little bit of yellow. The cadmium yellow lemon is a nice one to go with this colour. If you want a little brighter, I might put a bit of it on some areas in a minute myself, but I'm just sort of going over everything really with this, like that. And then, yeah, let's grab that yellow, give it a sharpen. Now, Polychromos don't lay on top of other colours that well. Cadmium, yellow lemon, but we'll try a little bit here. On this highest bit here, I think it would be most vibrant. And on this top part here of our stem, the higher bits, just put a little bit on the tips of there as well. There we go. Now our leaves are a bit too plain, aren't they? Very, very dull. We could make them slightly, yeah, let's do that. A bit of terracotta. I want to make them look slightly autumnal brownish. I know they probably don't get orangey. I think they tend to just go yellow and dead. But we'll use a bit of artistic license on them to give them a bit of, just a tiny touch of autumnal colour. And now I'm going to use the permanent green olive to do the bottom part down here. And then just sort of fade that up a little bit like that. There we go. And then in this gap, I'm going to use my May green to fill in the rest of my leaf. I'm going to go over everything now to just help it to all smush together and intensify all the colour, warm it up. That's going to look quite similar to the stem, which is good because that's what I wanted. And we've got these tiny hints of terracotta which aren't massively visible, but they're just there giving a little bit of interest. There we go. So now I've got to do this flower. Now pumpkin flowers are, I've got no idea. Are they yellow? Courgette flowers are yellow. I've never grown pumpkins. I'm going to do it in a yellowy type colour. I think it'll just match our colour scheme anyway. And I'll look it up and I'll find out they're blue or something. Dark cadmium yellow. I'm going to mark out a few bits. So under here, there'll be some shadow. Now with yellows, it's much better to do your darker bits first. So that's what I'm doing. So that's my darkest yellow. Now I'm going to grab the cadmium yellow, which I'm just going to sharpen. Oh, there you are, cadmium yellow. And I'm going to do a bit on the edge. And then just sort of extend those areas that I've done already in that darker colour. Still leave a little bit light white so we can put the lightest lighter yellow on, which is there a light cadmium yellow? Yeah, I should know by now. I've only had these pencils for about 10 years. I'm just going to fill in the rest with this. Now the light coming out isn't as bright as the actual flower. I'm happy with it being like that, but you might prefer to do it the other way with the light being darker, but I'm quite happy. Now you could also do some yellowy bits on the top of here where the light's hitting it. My light's quite pale, so it's not going to make a huge difference. Now because it's all coloured in, there's no way that we can now put some pencil on top to make those lighter bits. So if you wanted to do that, you could put a little bit of yellow pen maybe along the edge of there, or some yellow dots or something like that, just to make it look a bit brighter. But we've got to do our doll. As I say, I'm not going to do that. The light's diffused, it's quite pale. happy. Now I think I want my door to be green, and I'm going to use the permanent green olive, so I'm going to make it darker than the stem. I don't want it to look exactly the same, but we're using the same colours, but you know, make it darker. I don't know about that bottom bit. I think I'm just going to blend it in. I'm not doing it too hard yet, so I've got to decide on where I want my darker colour. I think along the edges it's usually a bit darker where the frame provides a little bit of shadow. Maybe we'll colour this bottom bit in a bit darker, just to give it some interest. And I want to burnish that one at the top a bit without making it look as dark as that. So I'm going to use my May green just to go over it. And we'll get rid of the white paper, well, some more of it, without it looking as dark as that bit at the bottom. Now our door handle is really small and tricky to know what to do with. I'm going to use the green gold. It's very sharp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here, because you can't, it's really small, a diagonal movement like this. So the top corner part this way, and then a little white gap in the middle. If I can fit it in like that, to try and make it look like it's got a bit of a shine and it's a bit gold. So small. But that's what I've tried to do. Now, yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Now you might look at that and think you want to do a bit of a background on there, but I'm not interested in doing that. There's a mark there. Anyway, I'm quite happy with it just like that. So there it is. Let's straighten it up a bit for you. There we go. So there's our first one from this page. I might try and look for another Halloweeny one. Or maybe I'll just work through them. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that's my one for today. So thank you very much for watching. As I say, I will do the whole page, but I'm not quite sure quite how it will fall with planner pages and things like that. But we'll get through it and make a nice series of it. But thank you for watching today. Hope you have a really lovely day. And as I say, happy Halloween and happy colouring.